details about the different sheets and how I use them for this student counseling profile. I created this when I was a school counselor. I realized if I saw a student more than, twice, then it's time to start tracking our sessions and our progress. And now that I'm a mental health counselor in schools, I'm an LPC associate, then I was like, I really need this for every student that is on my caseload. All right, so this first sheet is all about like the profile, the basics information. You got the name, you got a place to insert a picture or drawing, or you can go like this and go to Google Images and type in something that they think is symbolic of them, or maybe a favorite character, and they kind of like that they have some input on that. Birth date, you just type in their birth date and it automatically calculates their age. Then we have grade, the campus that they're at. This is helpful if you're at multiple campuses. Obviously, you could replace this with something else or write the name of your school if you're at one school, and then just make sure this is part of your template, right? The template that you use for every student. And then the teacher's name, their homeroom. And this is automatically calculated based on another sheet. I'll show you that. Of course, you can just replace it with numbers that you type in. And then their intake date is also automatically generated from one of these other sheets. Of course, you can replace that. So on the left, we have some softball questions that I like to start with kids. As soon as I open up my computer and start typing, they get curious. So I like to start with these fun questions, but it is important to me because if they tell me a favorite game they like to play, I can bring it back and use that as part of the examples that we give, that's part of the play therapy, or other analogies we might need to help them make connections. Obviously, their favorite subject's important. All these things are really helpful information, but they're also kind of softball questions that helps them kind of warm up and be okay with you asking them questions. A lot of these questions get answered as we go. But sometimes if I'm like, okay, I'm really confused. There's lots of kids, involved in the home. Go tell me your siblings' names and how old do you think they are. And so that has been really helpful. If they have two homes, this is where you could type that rather than putting adults at home. You could say mom's house, dad's house, right? And then other notable people, pets, their go-to person. This is a question I ask like almost every first session or two. And like, who is the person they go to when they have good news or bad news, or they just want some comfort? This is a really great question to ask. Then we have questions about friends. We have questions about things they like to do with their friends, contact information, health and wellness, if they have a diagnosis, if there's a suspected diagnosis, other things like risk factors, etc. And then these are really fun too, the dislikes and the triggers and coping and calming skills. All right, so that is obviously you can add more if you want your template to include other questions. You are free to edit these. You can delete it and just type in whatever you need. All right, so no problem there. This is totally customizable. The stages you may not use. I didn't use as much as I thought as a school counselor. Now I might use it more as a mental health counselor, and as I go, I might even change some of these. So I say stages, but a lot of times these are just important, like consults that you're going to probably need to have. SST is maybe also referred to as RTI or other things in your district, where it's a meeting, such as you can even call this a IEP meeting if there's for special ed or 504. There's a lot of things you could do with this, but you may not utilize it. You could always delete it. All right, this is what I use for sessions. And as you see, like if I click that this is an individual counseling session, it automatically calculates it. See, it's like already adding them up. So I just thought it was important to note which ones were, or how many individual counseling sessions I had, and how many are just, maybe the teacher's talking to me about this. So on this date, you don't have to put time. Obviously, that's only if you need it. I can put that the teacher, requests that I meet with the student, blah, blah, blah. So whenever you do finally get to the scheduled session, you can start adding those up, seeing how many you had. And, some of these you could always add others. You could edit it by changing it if there's something you do in your district, a lot. So that is for the different sessions. I did like using it. I didn't always, have time to add things like intervention used or the plan. As a school counselor, we're really busy doing a lot of other different tasks. I feel like as a mental health counselor, I will have time to do that. But now that, let me move this over here. Now that I am more familiar with SOAP notes, as like my supervisor taught me to do, then this may be something you would like to use instead, especially if you're a mental health counselor. So this looks similar to the sessions one. And if I end up using this, what I will end up doing is having this be the main sheet, and I will, track my sessions here. So as you can see, it's already tracking that these are sessions, and it's calculating how many we have. And on this one, I just put individual counseling, family, small group, crisis, or other. And so this is going to be really, SOAP notes. If you don't know how to use them, I do have a little cheat sheet right here. And, you can use that. You can hide it if you don't want all that over and over again being repeated. Once you understand SOAP notes, you probably won't need that anymore. And obviously, you can adjust that how you like it. If you're trying to track data with numbers, with, quantitative, data, things that you want to include in the IEP meetings, or ARD meetings, this may be really helpful. And I went ahead and put numbers on here so you see. I like to talk, when I talk about mood with kids, I like to have a baseline, because a lot of times we're not really happy, we're not really sad, it's just a baseline, we're neutral. So, especially if you're dealing with a kiddo with some depression, they may be a lot of the time in the neutral zone. And so, depression doesn't mean you're always down here. So that's something that might be helpful for a mood scale. Some of the younger kids may be confused by it. So a lot of times I just have like a diagram that they can point to and things like that. And then, as far as anxiety, a lot of our young clients are dealing with anxiety. Maybe it comes out as in other ways, but this is a way to track anxiety and help them see that, okay, just because you're up here, remember your anxiety used to be really low, like the last time, so we can get there again. And same thing goes with depression and anger. Okay, so I have all these different scales. You may not use this sheet, and if you do, you may only use one of these scales. I just want to make sure I included it and my own version. Of course, you can change that, and you can even see there's other things you could do when you double click this. You can, change the style and things like that. All right, so that's for scales, and then I do like this page. Might be helpful whenever you're talking to teachers, parents, people that stakeholders that know the kids, or the kids themselves. They may tell you, I am not good at science, but I am good at writing, okay? Or I'm good at writing creatively, right? Some kids like to write with structure. Some kids just want to go for it and they love to write. So there's these are strengths that I narrowed it down. I have some for executive function. These are going to be a lot of our kids with ADHD, autism, maybe undiagnosed, no diagnosis, but they do struggle with executive function, or that's a strength of theirs, right? Maybe some character things. This may be kind of not the way you want to put it. Maybe you want to word this a different way. Social skills, academics, and other. Okay, that I find are strengths. Some of these you may be like, why is being a collector, a strength? But some kids, that's where they shine. They really love what they love. They're passionate. We're talking about a lot of our kids on the spectrum. They have these special interests, and so I like to honor those. And then on the other side, these you could see are like aligned with the weakness or the challenges. So maybe they struggle with disorganization, that sort of thing. So obviously you can change this, but I just thought it was really helpful to kind of start tracking some of these tendencies, strengths, and challenges. All right, and then a lot of our kids we see, we are requested to see them because they struggle with behaviors. And so I do have my own version of like behavior tracking. You can do this however you want. You may want to change it. I've seen it done so many different ways. This is kind of gathered from a lot of different, people. A lot of times they don't really track the location. I thought it might be important because if it's, let's say it's the lunchroom and this is happening a lot, they're crying a lot, they're all these different things, and we know they may be getting overstimulated. Maybe the lack of structure of the cafeteria is a struggle for them. All right. And if you could even use this instead or as well, this is behavior antecedents, interventions, and comments. So this may be also helpful because some people, I went ahead and left it ambiguous. Some teachers, that the student have maybe handling the behaviors beautifully, and some may want to know how did that person do it. So this is kind of getting all the information down. So that's all the sheets I have. Obviously, you use whatever you like and you edit it however you want, but I would love to hear comments or suggestions on future versions of this. I'm happy to adjust it to our needs. All right, thank you.